For over 3 decades, Link has journeyed through the fields and ruins of Hyrule, tirelessly striving to save Princess Zelda. From its humble beginnings on the NES to the groundbreaking 3D action-adventure in Ocarina of Time, his quest has spanned numerous consoles and redefined the franchise in many ways. With the imminent release of Tears of the Kingdom, I decided to take on the creative challenge of ranking all the mainline Zelda games using Tier Maker. Understand that these are simply my personal opinions, which means they are just straight up facts. Nonetheless, I believe the Legend of Zelda franchise is an excellent place to start with my first ever tier list video. So in this video, I will reveal my best and worst picks for Zelda games. If it upsets you, get over it. So as you can see here, here's the different categories: S, A, B, C, and straight garbage. I figured we'd do them in the order in which they release, which means we're going to start out with the original Legend of Zelda game. We'll throw this bad boy in B tier. This is the game that set the stage for the entire franchise. This game introduced players to the cast of characters, various enemy types, and the overall essence of the Zelda series. It is an open world game that incentivizes the exploration and adventure, but lacks clear direction and can be overwhelming for new players. At the time of its release, it was revolutionary, unlike anything previously seen in North America. While there were adventure games available on older platforms like Atari, the Legend of Zelda's size and scope were unparalleled. However, I can't rank it as an A or S tier because some elements were just too cryptic, and it could be difficult to decipher. Although it remains a great game that holds up well today, it is still an older game. While it could be considered an S-tier game based on its time of release, the many excellent Zelda games released since then make it challenging to rank it in the top tier category. Nevertheless, Legend of Zelda is a fantastic game that deserves recognition. The next game on our list is The Adventure of Link 2. Or Zelda 2, whatever. I think this game is straight dog shit. Sorry, I meant dog shit. Sorry, I meant garbage. We're gonna put this in the straight garbage category. It was a stark departure from its predecessor. There were hookers in this game. I mean, kinda cool for Zelda to be the first NES game with prostitutes, but I wasn't particularly impressed. While there were some mechanics that I did appreciate, some aspects of the game just didn't work out very well. One positive thing about the game was that it was completely different from any other Zelda game in the franchise, so with the ability to earn experience points to invest in abilities and spells. I never truly enjoyed playing Zelda 2 due to the game's cryptic nature. While cryptic elements were a focal point of the NES due to technological limitations, they were far worse in this game than in the original Legend of Zelda game. This game can be brutally difficult at times in a way that no other Zelda game has been before or since, which doesn't really vibe with me. So in my opinion, this game has its drawbacks. However, I do think it has potential and could be a great game if to remaster or reimagine if executed properly. So when it comes to the Legend of Zelda series, many people have these as their top 3 favorites: A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, and Breath of the Wild. While those are the 3 main games that people classify as their favorite. Sorry, Twilight Princess. But out of these 3, I would say A Link to the Past is probably the lesser of the 3. While I personally believe that A Link to the Past is a great game, I'm gonna rank it at A tier. I understand that for many people, this game holds a special place in their heart, as it was the blueprint for modern Zelda games, expanding on everything that was good about the original Legend of Zelda game on NES. A Link to the Past is a masterclass in adventure game design, with an impeccably paced grand story and a huge variety of puzzle-filled dungeons guarded by some of the most imposing bosses in the series. The world of Hyrule has grown so much in this game, with the grand reveal of an equally sprawling mirror dimension known as the Dark World. The game has so much depth to it, with numerous secrets waiting to be discovered. The graphical style may be retro, but the game itself remains astonishingly good even to this day. It was unlike anything we had ever seen at this point in time, as far as an action-adventure games were concerned. It is no surprise that this game is still a fan favorite even after all these years. While Twilight Princess may not make the top 3 favorites, I will agree that A Link to the Past certainly deserves its place among them. It is a timeless classic that sets the standard for all Zelda games that followed. So if A Link to the Past is your favorite Zelda game, I completely understand why. For me personally, I rank it below Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Game Boy is the next game on our list. Although I never had the chance to play it on the Game Boy, I did play the remastered version on Switch, and I absolutely adored it. The game marked a return to the roots of the Zelda franchise, echoing the first game and Link to the Past. It was a turning point where the Zelda formula began to kind of take shape. Players could acquire items that would grant access to new areas of the map, gradually expanding their abilities and accessibilities to the game's world. This game's enduring appeal is undoubtedly due to the critical design decision, which remains highly effective even now. The ethereal and dreamlike world surrounding you is the perfect foundation for an excellent Zelda gaming experience. The game has a fantastic soundtrack that adds to its allure. All things considered, I would definitely rank this game in B tier. Its gameplay mechanics and overall presentation have aged well, making it a timeless classic that any Zelda fan would appreciate. And then we have the CDI games. I'm not going to talk much about these bad boys because, I mean, they're the best Zelda games out there. I mean, let's be realistic. They probably shouldn't even be on this list because they're so good. In fact, it's not even a mainline Zelda game. Why are they on this list? But there's just nothing that can beat them. They're stupidly good. I have sampled them. A lot of people have sampled them. It's just something you want to play for forever and ever and ever. Okay, let's stop fooling ourselves. With that out of the way, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is widely regarded as one of the best games in the franchise, and even among all Nintendo 64 games. Released in 1998, it revolutionized 3D adventure games and set a standard that would last for decades to come. The game's lock-on camera system, 3D puzzles, and implementation of series staples like the hookshot and the bow and arrow are all masterfully done. Despite the limitations of Nintendo 64's hardware, Ocarina of Time remains playable and engrossing to this day. The game takes everything that worked in A Link to the Past and flawlessly translates it into a three-dimensional realm. This was a major technological shift as players have previously only seen these worlds from a top-down perspective. The game's dungeons are absolutely brilliant with clever puzzles and engaging gameplay. We can't bring this game up without mentioning that horrid water temple though. I know so many people that hate the water temple in this game, myself included, but I mean, water theme levels suck in general, right? One of the standout features of Ocarina of Time is its music though, which is often cited as some of the best in video game history. The game's storytelling is also exceptional with a well-crafted plot and memorable characters. The lock-on targeting system is another innovation that made combat both smooth and satisfying. Ocarina of Time is not just a great Zelda game, but a defining moment in video game history. Its influence can still be seen in action-adventure games today, and it remains a fan favorite. For those who played it when it first released, the experience was truly mind-blowing. And for those who picked it up today, it still holds up as a timeless classic. Ocarina of Time is my favorite Zelda game. It is an exceptional game that deserves its spot as #1 in S tier. I know this might be a controversial opinion, but I would rank Majora's Mask in B tier for Zelda games. I don't dislike the game, but I don't think it's one of the best in the series either. While I appreciate the dark and brooding story, it does feel a bit rushed compared to the other Zelda games. Majora's Mask was developed in just 2 years as a sequel to Ocarina of Time, so it was more of a trial by fire than an experiment. Despite this, it's still able to use unsettling concepts and imagery to create a memorable experience. I wasn't a fan of the 3D mechanic or even the strong emphasis on masks. It always felt like I wasn't rushing through the game without being able to fully explore the world, which is a staple of the Zelda franchise. As a kid, Majora's Mask scared the living crap out of me, and as an adult, it still kind of does. But no, it doesn't really resonate with me as much as the other Zelda games do. While I know there are fans who love the game, I personally don't think it belongs in A or S tier. I can see the comment section being on fire right now. Let's go ahead and move on to Oracle of Ages and Seasons. I'm going to mix these together as they're essentially the same game. I'm going to place these in B tier. Again, the comment section on fire. While many people adore these titles, they're essentially the same game with slight variations, and both are required for the ultimate story ending. The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages followed in the footsteps of Pokemon by releasing as a pair, but unlike Pokemon, each game has a significant difference. Oracle of Ages is puzzle-based, while Seasons is more action-based, and completing one game unlocks a password for use in the other. Technologically, this was a fascinating experiment, particularly because there were games not developed by Nintendo, but by Capcom. Although Capcom has produced other Zelda titles, we'll discuss them later. The graphics and gameplay are similar to Link's Awakening, with some improvements, but at its core, it definitely felt like Link's Awakening-esque. The Seasons mechanic is my favorite part of the game, and the 4 seasons add a new dimension to gameplay. Spring versus winter affects gameplay, making it enjoyable. While I do appreciate these games, I don't hold them in as high as regard as many others do. It would be interesting to see them remastered and combined into one game one day though. I was personally not a fan of this game or the ideology behind it. It's not completely terrible, but I'm going to put it in C tier. It deviates from the traditional single-player hero approach that Zelda games typically employ, but it lacks the depth and complexity that one would expect from a Zelda game. It seems like the developers came up with the multiplayer concept and then put minimal effort into the rest of the game's development. This game could have benefited from more content and better execution of its multiplayer features. Initially, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker on GameCube did not impress me much. With that said, I'm putting it in C tier. That's right, C tier. However, the HD remaster revamped the game for me to place it in A tier. So scratch the C, put it in A. This game's graphical style, with its cartoony cel-shaded art, wasn't well received by fans, including myself. I was expecting a more mature take on the franchise, with games like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask setting the bar pretty high. Fans were disappointed. However, over time, Wind Waker's unique and beautiful take on Hyrule's world has become widely accepted. Wind Waker's selling mechanic was a hit or miss. It did provide a sense of freedom and adventure that the Zelda franchise is known for, but the excessive amount of water and extended sailing hunts often weighed the experience down. It took it roughly about 5 minutes to reach the next island, which was quite frustrating for most players, including myself. Some fans enjoyed this traversal system, and it added to the game's overall motive, but I prefer more traditional Zelda gameplay. The HD remaster addressed some of the game's issues, making it less annoying to play. Despite this, I still wouldn't place it in S tier because of the excessive amount of water and the fact that the boat stuff just didn't click with me personally. Nonetheless, the game's combat system was one of the best of the Zelda franchise with a vast array of moves Link could use, until Twilight improved upon that. Of course, you guys are kind of getting on this, but I love Twilight. Anyways, overall, I would say Wind Waker's initial reception was poor, but over time, it has become a beloved game. The game's unique take on Hyrule's world, coupled with its beautiful visuals, make it a worthwhile addition to any gamer's collection. Okay, I anticipate a lot of negative comments for this one, but we're gonna, with Minish Cap here, I gotta go C tier. I'm not even sorry. If you want, change my mind, bro. Comment section are down below. I do find this game to be one of the more unique and intriguing entries in the franchise. It's developed by Capcom for the Game Boy Advance. It's fascinating to think that a mainline Zelda game was created by a different company. Pretty strange. Unlike Hyrule Warriors or even other spin-off titles, the Minish Cap focuses on the mechanic of shrinking everything down, which makes Zelda sad. However, I believe this gimmick was executed well. It has similarities to A Link to the Past, but also brings in fresh mechanics and ideas. The graphical style of the game was actually very peculiar because I felt like it was a departure from what we had seen prior. I think Minish Cap was skipped when it came to the mainline Zelda games, but now that it's on Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack service, you can now play some Minish Cap because it's worth playing if you have it. I never played it until now because I have the expansion pack, although I could have done without it. Sorry if this is one of your favorites. I did not particularly enjoy Four Swords Adventures. While I wouldn't go as far to rank it as complete garbage, I'm gonna put it in C tier. It is worth noting that Four Swords Adventures is one of the only fully realized multiplayer Zelda experiences. But even in the real world, enjoying it to its fullest requires each player to have a Game Boy Advance and a cable to connect to their GameCube, which is a challenge. I never knew anyone who had all the necessary hardware to make it work, but it is playable as a single player game. My main grievances with the game are its linearity and its ease. I never encountered any significant challenges while playing, and starting from scratch at each level is just not enjoyable. It seemed nonsensical that, despite that there being 4 lanes, players could only hold one item at a time. Just asinine. Overall, I do not envision myself ever playing this one again. Now the next game we're going to talk about. Oh boy! I feel like this is going to get me in hot water because people are going to say you're an idiot. Okay, folks, get ready for this one. I know it's going to be a divided opinion, but I'm putting Twilight Princess in S tier. That's right, both versions, Wii and Wii U, both S tier. I know it might seem crazy, but hear me out. Twilight Princess is my second favorite Zelda game of all time. I mean, I'd put Ocarina of Time first, but this one is right up there. The thing about Twilight Princess is that it's the Ocarina of Time game I've always wanted on a modern platform with modern visuals. The graphics are absolutely stunning, and they really bring the world to life. This game absolutely blew me away because it was so damn good. Yes, the wolf stuff at the start of the game was a little annoying, where you had to collect the teardrops, but they fixed it in the HD version of the game. Beyond that, this game is brilliant. And don't even get me started on Midna. She's by far the best companion Link has ever had. She's this snarky imp who rides around on Wolf Link back and basically trolls him for the duration of the game. It's quite hilarious. But seriously, Midna's story ties firmly into the Twilight Princess world and lore. She gives the game a style all its own, a style that deserves more respect than it's been given over the years. And the size and scope of the world you're in, the different areas you visit, the centralized town system, it's just everything. I absolutely love this game. From a visual standpoint, it's absolutely fantastic because it's the graphical style that I wanted Wind Waker to be. And while I appreciate Wind Waker and everything that it brings to the table, I just feel like Twilight Princess is just like Ocarina of Time. Might as well call it Ocarina of Time 2.0. I know that might confuse some people, but really when you compare the games, there's a lot of similarities. But this game, man, the dungeons, the extra things you had to do, like the whole fishing mechanic and the wolf thing, which some people didn't like, but I definitely enjoyed it. There's just so much amazing stuff with this game. If you haven't played it, play it like right now. So there you have it, folks. The most controversial opinion you're going to hear today. Twilight Princess in S tier. Easily my second favorite Zelda game. I know people are going to get pissed about that one, but you can try to change my mind in the comments. Well, let's examine some of the DS titles we have here, which I find rather intriguing. If you've been following this channel for a while, you'll be aware of my views on handheld games. I don't believe they should be regarded as canon or even mainline, and as a result, they shouldn't be given that much importance. With that said, I'll put these in B tier. I only played them recently for this video, otherwise I probably would never even bothered with them. The gameplay of these titles is very similar since Nintendo forced the touchscreen control mechanism down our throats. As if they wanted to say, hey, did you know that the DS has a touchscreen? Well, now you do. and you have to use it here and there and there and there because it's got here, you got to touch it, there you got to touch it, there's the touchscreen. Like, dude, touchscreen was actually a Nintendo DS marketing model that they had. I get it, it's part of the system, but Jesus, man. But I don't believe these games are bad per se, but they're held back by restrictions. Not only do they have to have technical limitations that people could overlook, but you also have to control everything with a small stylus, which is a tad frustrating. It makes for a different Zelda experience that, in my opinion, should have been more traditional. Just because you have a touchscreen doesn't mean it needs to be used in every game. These games are just okay for me. They're not essential games to play, but then again, neither are the other handheld Zelda games. If I had to choose between the two, I would go with Phantom Hourglass. I believe it's the superior game of the two. This is especially true if you're a fan of Wind Waker, which I am. They did a lot more with the Great Sea in Phantom Hourglass, which makes it a must-play if you enjoyed that aspect in Wind Waker. Nonetheless, in my opinion, Phantom Hourglass is slightly better than Spirit Tracks, but they both still land in B tier. Oh man, Skyward Sword. Oh, this is tough. Even after 12 years, I am still unsure about how I truly feel about this one. I guess it depends on the version of the game. My opinion varies. If we're talking about the Wii version, I'm placing it in B tier. However, if it's the Switch version, I'll probably place it in A tier. I did not like the problematic controls in this game. Much like Phantom Hourglass Spirit Tracks, instead of having the touchscreen, you had the motion controls. I did not enjoy the Wii controller in the Wii Motion Plus. Thus, if we're talking about the Wii version, you know what? I'll place it in C tier. It's just, ugh. However, the Switch version is a different story. The controls have been fixed, and the incessant text pop-ups for collectibles in the annoying companion Fi have been resolved. This version of the game allowed me to complete and enjoy it thoroughly. While the story seemed too stagnant at times, I still had a lot of fun with it. I did not have the same experience with the Wii version, which was a common issue with the Wii console. Nintendo often tried to cram too much into their mainline games. They could have let the gameplay unfold more naturally, including sections for one-on-one sword fighting, for instance. Therefore, I place the Switch version in A tier, but the vanilla version goes into C tier, and I apologize if you disagree with me. Talking to you, Latopia. Okay, when I first heard about The Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds, I was excited for what it could bring to the table. However, upon playing it, I found it to be too familiar to its predecessor, A Link to the Past. Despite being initially dismissed by fans as a mere copy, Link Between Worlds pleasantly surprised players with its non-linear progression and well-designed dungeons. While it paid tribute to A Link to the Past, it also stood on its own and hinted at the direction that Breath of the Wild would take years later, with the ability to tackle dungeons in any order. The mechanic where Link could go flat against walls was also a cool addition. Overall, I think Link Between Worlds deserves a spot in B tier, as it was a good game with a solid 10 to 12 hour playthrough. I felt that once I finished the game, there wasn't much incentive to revisit it. While it had a good premise and introduced new mechanics, it lacked the replayability and lasting appeal of some of the games in the S and A tier. Additionally, the item renting system wasn't my favorite, which detracted from my overall enjoyment of the game. Despite my personal reservations, I believe that Link Between Worlds is still a great handheld game for fans of the Zelda franchise. When you're talking about the best handheld Zelda games, hardly anyone seems to bring up A Link Between Worlds. Honestly, I think this is probably the best of the handheld games. Just my opinion. While it may not receive the same recognition as some of the other handheld Zelda games, it's definitely worth playing for its unique take on the franchise and well-designed dungeons. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. This game is essentially 4 swords, but instead of 4 links, there's 3. There's really not much to say about this one that I didn't say earlier for 4 swords and 4 swords adventure. With that said, this goes in C tier. It's very, very borderline straight garbage, but it just barely missed it for C tier. And the last one on the list before Tears of the Kingdom is Breath of the Wild. The Legend of Zelda series has been around since 1986 and has always been a fan favorite. The series is known for its sense of adventure, puzzles, and dungeons. However, when Breath of the Wild was released, it shook up the entire gaming industry. The game was a big departure from the traditional Zelda games, and it took the franchise to a whole new level. The game was so successful that it became the best-selling Legend of Zelda game of all time. Sorry, Ocarina of Time. Breath of the Wild is not your typical Zelda game. The game offers the players a vast open world that they can explore at their own pace. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic version of Hyrule, and the player is tasked with defeating Calamity Ganon, who has taken over the kingdom. The game is unique, and it allows players to climb anything they want and go anywhere they want without the need to follow a specific path. One of the things that make Breath of the Wild so special is its sense of adventure. The game is designed to make players feel like they are on an adventure. There are so many secrets to uncover, and the game encourages players to explore every nook and cranny. The game is so immersive that players can easily get lost in the world of Hyrule for hours on end. At least, that's how it was for me. The game's exploration mechanics are very different than the original Zelda game. In the original game, players had to beat dungeons in a specific order to progress. In Breath of the Wild, players can go anywhere they want and tackle challenges in any order they choose. This level of freedom is unprecedented in the Zelda series, and it is one of the things that make this game so unique. Breath of the Wild also introduced new gameplay mechanics that have become staples of the series. For example, the game introduced the concept of weapons breaking down, which adds a new layer of strategy to the gameplay. The game also introduced the concept of cooking, which allows players to create new items that can be used to boost their health or give them temporary buffs. Despite the game's success, there were some criticisms. For example, the game did not have traditional dungeons, which some fans missed. The game's divine beasts were also criticized for being too linear. However, these criticisms did not detract from the game's overall success. With the upcoming release of Tears of the Kingdom, fans are excited to see what the game has to offer. There is hope that the game will bring back traditional dungeons while still maintaining the sense of adventure that made Breath of the Wild so special. Regardless of what the new game brings, it is undeniable that Breath of the Wild has had a significant impact on the gaming industry as a whole. It has redefined what it means to be a Zelda game and has shown that Nintendo is not afraid to take risks and try new things. As if you didn't see where I was going with this is an easy S tier. And there you have it. That's my list of my rankings for all the mainline Zelda games. Just to recap, we have the S tier, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and Breath of the Wild. A tier, we have A Link to the Past, Wind Waker, and Skyward Sword. B tier, we have the original Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, Minish Cap, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, Majora's Mask, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, and A Link Between Worlds. That's a lot of B tier. C tier, we have the Four Swords Adventures, and crap-ass Triforce Heroes. And then straight garbage, we have Adventures of Link and the frickin' CDI games. Let me know what you think of my list in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Give me your thoughts in the comment section down below as well. Feel free to make your own tier list and share it with me in the Discord. Join the Discord. Also, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss Tears of the Kingdom content, as I will be streaming that this Thursday. Until next time, guys, peace out.